is this sound?
Very good afternoon to all of us. I hope we had a good break. We're still waiting for people, but we will start because time is up. Thank you very much for being here. I think we've had a good session so far. We want to continue in that vein with this session, which I believe is going to be very interesting because it is a shift in terms of data to use to impact and in terms of how it is going to help us within our various national geos. Why open knowledge? I once asked a learned friend this question, and his response was quite proverbial. The grass is green. The grass is not green everywhere. And so we need to spread the green grass. That was what he told me. And I started pondering over this. And I realized that what he was saying was that we don't have everywhere honey. Now, what that means is that for us in our modern days, we have a data-driven economy. But what is critical is the fact that not all regions of the world have data. It is important that we look at how we can ensure that data reaches everywhere. And this is where open knowledge, open data becomes very critical. For our national geos, one thing is also very clear. There is a good connection between open knowledge and our national geos. Very often we have a lot of our countries, geo member countries, who don't have data. And one of the things that have come up strongly is the fact that we want to open access to data. And this is why we are here today. What is important is that we want to ensure that all geo member countries have access to data, have access to knowledge, and have access to information on Earth observations. And so today, we are going to look at something quite interesting, which is a national geos, the role of open knowledge in our national geos in terms of their needs. This session featuring a diverse group of speakers from various regions and thematic areas will talk about the current data needs, opportunities, as well as challenges faced by our national geos. Topics will include the integration of knowledge, practice, improving data accessibility, strengthening infrastructure, and addressing other key issues that shape the future of our national geos. By exploring these critical areas, we aim to highlight how open knowledge can act as a catalyst for innovation and capacity development in Earth observations. With improved access to data, tools, and products, national GEOs can amplify their impact, drive progress in key areas like disaster resilience, sustainable urban planning, and resource management. This session will underscore the transformative potential of open knowledge in shaping the future of national GEOs and their contribution in both national and global sustainable development goals. So today, whilst I'm going to be your moderator, I'm also going to share with you something on the role of the Geo Knowledge Hub in national GEOs. By the way, my name is Ernest Echampo, and I am with the Geo Secretariat as the Capacity Development Officer. Let me go to, could you take me to the first slide? Good. All right. So briefly, I'll be sharing with you what the role of Geo Knowledge Hub is in national GEOs. Now, I'll be walking you through how GEO is simplifying access to Earth observation data and how national GEOs can leverage this valuable information. At GEO, we believe in the transformative power of open knowledge. This isn't just a principle, but it's the foundation of transparency, collaboration, and a sustainable approach to addressing today's global challenges using Earth observations. By advocating for open knowledge, GEO aims to lower the barriers of accessing authoritative data and ensuring that everyone from researchers to policymakers to the ordinary person and farmer have access to data that will improve decision making. This is particularly essential for the outputs and products generated from the GEO work program activities which provide invaluable data for the various Earth observation applications. Now, one thing that is important is that GEO has a very valuable platform, which is called the Geo Knowledge Hub. This hub is a cloud-based digital economy. Sorry, I think I have to, okay, good. So this hub is a digital repository that houses EO tools, products, and applications and other resources developed under the work program, among many other initiatives, which are curated resources that contain in-situ data, imagery, processing scripts, and other packages that can be used by everybody. Now, what is critical here is that we have a wealth of information which makes it easy for our national GEOs and in fact everybody to access ready-to-use information that can help address their own individual needs. Now, one thing that is clear is that not all of us may be familiar with what we call our national GEOs. And so I would like to share a little bit of what we mean when we talk about national GEOs. Now, national GEOs are very important to the GEO community. These are a network of EO stakeholders who are working together collaboratively to promote the use of Earth observations at the national level. One thing that is key is that these key stakeholders ranges from private sector to public agencies and to community-based organizations as well as non-governmental organizations. It varies from country to country, the composition of what is called a national GEO. Now, national GEOs indeed, whilst they're reflecting on the unique priorities of their respective countries, share some common principles and directives. They play a central role in coordinating EO stakeholders, both producers and users. And they also enhance collaboration and amplify the impact of EO initiatives at the country level. As a primary national voice of Earth observation, They optimize and coordinate efforts to meet national priorities. They also contribute to global conversations. And so within GEO, we have a lot of country representatives that are coming from the various national GEOs. What they do is also facilitate access to open data, promote informed decision-making using Earth observations at the country level, whilst also raising public awareness of the benefit of Earth observation to society. National GEOs are supposed to work to strengthen human and institutional capacities, ensuring that Earth observation resources are effectively leveraged to maximize return on investment at the country level. One thing that is clear is that whilst resources are scarce, national GEOs are to ensure that resources are utilized efficiently, but also to make sure that they optimize impact when it comes to the resources that are invested in Earth observation. And so one thing that is key is that we want to understand why the Geo Knowledge Hub becomes a very important tool for our national GEOs. I have enumerated 3 points. The first one is that the Geo Knowledge Hub gives a wealth of information, and it makes it easy for our national GEOs to access them. And so if you go to a lot of these countries where they are emerging national GEOs, one of the key things is access to information. And this is what the Geo Health Knowledge Hub does. In terms of capacity building, the Geo Knowledge Hub has a lot of training and webinars where our national GEOs can have access and can build their institutional and human capacities. Also, in terms of knowledge sharing, we have a lot of tools and resources. National GEOs can also access them and also share their inputs so that we can improve and enhance the hub for the benefit of all. One thing that is also clear to us is that the national, the Geo Health, sorry, I don't know what I'm saying now. The Geo Knowledge Hub provides a lot of data-specific tools and services that we can all benefit from, that all national GEOs can benefit from. It is important to know that various countries with their different different needs can all tap into the Geo Knowledge Hub and make use of it. Looking ahead, one thing that is clear is that there is the opportunity to fully explore the Geo Knowledge Hub to address a wide range of national challenges. Programs such as GeoGlam, Digital Earth Africa, the Space for Climate Observatory, FAO Water Productivity Application, the EO Toolkit for Sustainable Cities and Human Settlement all offer a wealth of resources to tackle issues related to crop monitoring, climate observation, water use, urban planning, disaster resilience, among other areas where we can use resources in the Knowledge Hub to address. As more initiatives within the GEO work program deliver products and services, it is important that our national GEOs tap into this opportunity that is available in terms of tools and services to maximize their potential and to ensure that they gain their national trust using the data that is produced through the Knowledge Hub. It is also important as a mouthpiece of our countries that national GEOs become trusted. And one thing that is key is that with information from the Knowledge Hub, they can help our governments make informed decisions when it comes to climate change, when it comes to disaster, when it comes to other environmental issues that our countries face. On that note, let me end and encourage our national GEOs to consult the Geo Knowledge Hub. Thank you. So As a moderator, I'll continue with the session. Yeah, so one thing that is clear is that there is a ton of information that national geos can access within the Geo Knowledge Hub. Today, we have a representative of our national geos. At the same time, we have our various speakers who talk about other accessible information that we can all have access to. And so at this point, I'll call our next speaker, Lulu Makapela from the CSIR South Africa, to share with us the titled Empowering the Uptake of GeoKnowledge Hub in South Africa.
Good afternoon, everybody. As introduced, I'll be focusing on how we are empowering national uptake of the GeoKnowledge Hub through SAGEO, which is the National Geo Mechanism in South Africa, and you know, some of the activities that we've had recently. So just as a way of understanding some of our programs, as a geo coordination mechanism, and thank you, Ernest, for already introducing it in terms of, you know, what it is to achieve. So within South Africa and the SAGO, we have a number of programs, and most of these programs are around community building networks, essential so that community as well as apology. So I hope it works. I can see when I'm here. So our focus is really on the community building support networks through our communities of practice, as well as integrated support platforms to ensure that those communities are continuously engaged and they're able to, you know, stay connected, as well as looking at various collaborative and transformative programs to ensure that the community is continuously having the initiatives to be engaged, as well as international cooperation. So we have a number of, you know, engagement and information resource platforms as displayed here, but they are mainly for engagement and information as part of SAGO. But however, we do have an open data and access platform amongst others that is under development, which is the South African Earth Observation System of Systems, that we hope that of course, we are making efforts to ensure that it's linked with the open data knowledge hub. So I just wanted to share that we, you know, as SAGO, we have been utilizing, you know, the services from GEO, leveraging on the Geo Knowledge Hub. And recently we have managed to host an integrated communities of practice workshop. And thank you so much to your team, Paula, and Felipe and others for really, you know, ensuring, I mean, coming to South Africa, I mean, for sharing the knowledge to our South African community, because we believe it was critical to ensure that we enhance collaboration with GEO and also within the institutions, and that we strengthen the capacities so that we have, you know, some of the long-term successes within South Africa. And, you know, we really had a lot of expert discussions that are related to the Earth observation data management, how we store the data, and also looking at what are the needs that we have, you know, in South Africa. So we also, you know, as part of this, hosted a capacity building training session, which was very important to us to ensure that we are strategically aligned in terms of our national as well as global priorities, and this was very beneficial for us to ensure that we are able to improve, of course, access to Earth observation data for decision making and strengthen our collaborations as well with our Earth observation community to ensure that even other systems that are being utilized in South Africa, they are able to be able to share the data and knowledge. So some of the key sessions, of course, also in collaboration with our Mr. Ernest here, which I think is critical to mention here, is the process that we undertook through the Earth Observation Maturity Indicator Assessment and Participatory Review process that we undertook. And this was really necessary for us in terms of, better understanding the gaps that we have in South Africa in terms of capacity, infrastructure, and identify the needs so that we are able to create, directed and targeted programs that can respond to the needs of the community. We also had, of course, particularly the trainings on GeoGlam, Digital Earth Africa, and some of the available data products in South Africa. And of course, it was, this was a very successful type of an engagement that we want to continue and leverage, on its success to ensure that there's sustainable, there's more continuing, I think, development from these programs. So some of the key outcomes was more of looking at the community. It's more of enhanced capacity, improved ability for our EO community to understand the Geo Knowledge Hub, how it works. And I think what was critical to us, Paula, was the fact that it's not about us accessing it, but being able to actually contribute to the portal and also contribute get the contributions from the users and the community. And the other aspect was, of course, ensuring that we can build on the technical capabilities for Earth observation data processes which are important, as well as gaining some of those insights on the EOMI guideline for strategic investment in targeted programs, as well as I think on the overall, the collaboration that we managed to gain from different COPs. So these are other engagements that we've been having, building on our success that we've had on our workshop. We've also recently had our national space conference, which was held 2 weeks ago. So there is, continuous, engagement from the community. So that's all from my side. I just wanted to say it's, it's very, open data and open knowledge is very critical, especially for us as, as national GEOs and for South Africa as well. So we really, really appreciate the continuous contributions and support from the Secretariat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lulu. I think this is a testimony of the role of Geo Knowledge Hub in empowering our national geos. I was in South Africa and we had a very, very fruitful session where Paula and the team also introduced the Geo Knowledge Hub. And it was quite amazing, and people were all very excited about the opportunity of accessing the information within the Knowledge Hub. On that note, let's get to the screen and see a video from Lefteris Mamai, who is from Even Flow. And he's going to talk about the Earth Observation Maturity Assessment that Paula Lulu talked about. This is one of the tools that we are using to help our countries that are emerging as far as Earth observations and space are concerned, to support them to understand the Earth observation landscape in their country. So could you please play the video? Thank you.
Around the world under different circumstances, and is now also informing part of the national coordination mechanism of GEO. Why is it important to know the current level of geo maturity at national level? This is actually the question that prompted us in the first place to think about this methodology. And here things are very straightforward. At the moment, in most countries, people don't know as well as they would have liked to what is the current level of EO activities, of the capacities that the country has across different dimensions. And it's essential to know and have an accurate knowledge of these capacities, but also how these evolve over time, because this can help decision makers, but also other EO players along the value chain in their long-term planning and in their investment decisions, where to put budget, how this budget should be organized. Should it be addressing gaps, or should it be maybe put in areas where there are discernible strengths? So what is the maturity methodology? In any possible way one looks at it, this is a methodology that is trying to do exactly what it says. It's trying to assess the maturity level of FEO-related activities in a country. And to do so, it brings forward a system with multiple indicators across 3 pillars. These pillars are currently named capacity of the stakeholder ecosystem, infrastructure, and regulatory framework. And you see this in quote unquote, because it has many things under it. It is a modular methodology, and this is very important to note, because this means that you can implement it in parts. You don't absolutely necessarily have to do all the aspects that it entails, but you can choose which indicators or group of indicators you want to look at. In addition, and provided, of course, that these address a specific need and are well defined and straightforward to measure, you can add new indicators. For instance, in the context of GEO, if one would want to look into particular GEO activities and how these are represented inside the activity of a country, indicators could be developed. Let's look a moment, where has this methodology been applied? It all started actually back in 2017 or 16, where we were running the GEO Cradle project, which some of you know well because in the meantime it has evolved into an activity under GEO. And there we did the implementation in 11 countries. You can see them all listed here. This was then followed up with a very important project, eShape, which is the predecessor to the EuroGeoSec that is currently running and is there to establish the EuroGeo Secretariat, with partners from 9 countries. And what's interesting here is that some of these countries were the same as before. As things were progressing and as we could show really good results, we started seeing also independent implementations, meaning ourselves were not directly involved other than perhaps as advisors, or even not at all. And this happened in the Philippines and in Bangladesh. And then in recent months, this was done in 9 sub-Saharan Africa countries and 6 Latin America countries. In the past few months, we have also had extensive discussions with GEO in connection to the national coordination mechanism. And you might have well seen and heard from Ernest in particular, how this is now informing the Earth Intelligence Readiness Matrix. So at present, if we get our count correct, we are about 35 implementations in. And what's important to say, and you will see it in a moment, is that some of these implementations can really represent a key point in how things are done in certain countries. And I will say a few more things about it in a minute. So how does the methodology work? The methodology does require, first and foremost, collaboration between several actors. You do need strong actors in the country. You need someone to champion things. It can be an individual representing a key organization in the country. It can be multiple people who come together, even have workshops. but it's really essential that the local knowledge, the local understanding of how things are running is there. In addition, what we always propose and encourage is that additional experts who represent academia, industry, and also the institutional side come together and validate the data. You see here the different steps. I'm not going to go into every step because I don't have the time, but it's also important at different points in this whole process to implement some sort of validation and see if the things that are being collected and analyzed make sense. Which are the things that are being collected and analyzed? It's information against the different indicators. Here you see a small snapshot, and the different indicators, they fall under different groups, which all together then make up for the pillars. And here, desk research, interviews, and workshops are typically the way to go. And what does the methodology yield? At the end of this process, we have comprehensive sheets where all this information has been collected, analyzed, assessed, and evaluated with the different scores. But we also have simple yet powerful visualizations in the form of maturity cards. And you see here an example from Austria in the E-shape implementation. These cards are essential for actors in the country because they can immediately see visually where the different weaknesses or strengths lie. And we have seen, and this is the example, for instance, of the Philippines, that they can literally inform future investments as it happened in the Philippines. And it's even explicitly referenced in the relevant legislation. Now, this is not meant as a tool for comparison between countries, but it does allow to identify patterns. It does allow to look into underlying factors, and it does allow the actors to come together and try to understand where they are. So this is very important. Finally, if one does that over time, they can actually see how the progress has evolved, and they can see if something that has happened in the meantime really had the impact they expect. So at the end of the day, decision makers are in a better position to coordinate things at national level. And that's why it's so important also to look at it from a national geo coordination mechanism perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lev. Yes, indeed. For your information, we recently had this assessment done in 9 African countries. South Africa is one of them. We had AfriGeo Symposium where it was presented. We also had the opportunity to learn from Nigeria where the assessment was, the methodology was implemented. And I could say that this is really revealing a lot in terms of countries committing resources to the Earth observation sector. So once again, we thank Lev and the team for exposing this to us. On the list, our next speaker will be Lionel Menard, who is going to talk about machine actionable DMP. I will leave him to talk about what that DMP means. Lionel?
Thank you, Ernest. Thanks for having me this session. So in your introduction, you have a say the grass is not green everywhere. And luckily, there is a tool to make grass greener everywhere. And this tool is the data management plan. And the data management plan is the tool basically to collect open knowledge. Basically, that could be stated this. And in this speech, I will introduce the DMP and the currently work we are conducting to provide machine actionable data management. So the first question we may ask ourselves is, do we really know our EO data? When I talk about EO data, I mean data that we are collecting, using, producing, combining, managing, releasing. And this nice word map is a 57-word concept that I have grabbed from the data management plan from GEO. And you see there's a lot of things that you need to address if you want to describe your data, whether they are usable, discoverable, standard, you name it. Is it sensor ML? Does it come with OGC standard? What about the license? So it's very, very, very challenging. And luckily, we have for this the support of a tool, which is a data management. The data management plan is a formal document that basically outlines how the data should be handled during and after the project. Consider not only the data management, but the metadata generation, the data preservation before the project starts, and prepare for the future. And lucky we are as well in GEO, we have, it has been mentioned very often the data sharing principle and the data management. So again, you have very detailed information, but in 3 words, data sharing principle basically deal about the product that's going to be shared in open data by default with minimum restriction and minimum available time delay. And for this, if you want to implement sharing principle, you are provided with data management principle with 5 main headings: discoverability, accessibility, usability, preservation, curation. So you have a full framework basically to assess how your data comply to those data management. And now we have as well tools. Not only we have principle, we have tools. And the tools, the contribution from a former EC-funded project, eShape, where we have developed and used for eShape the creation of a data management plan for doing self-assessment using an Excel package. So it's everything but not standard and interoperable. It is still a useful tool. It is designed for GEO and FAIR principle. It is based on self-assessment, so you do it yourself, but you're provided with all the recommendations and the guidance that are accompanying both FAIR and GEO principle. We have tested it with 37 pilots in eShape in 7 different thematic areas, open license, and it's free to download on the GEO Knowledge Hub. But we want to transition to something which is more aligned with the GEO recommendation on standard and interoperability. So we are currently developing a machine actionable data management. So there is some principle regarding machine actionable data management plan. 10 principles, I just outlined 2 of them, is that basically a machine actionable DMP should be described for both machine and human, and basically follow a common data model. And the tool that we have selected, which is OPIDOR, currently into a pre-production version, offer a single access point, authentication, collaborative DMP creation and revision to work together, and an open API. So this is the last point that make it machine actionable. The difficulty and the challenge was that this tool was already fitted with a data model, which is Science Europe. And the exercise and the challenge has been basically to try to not break this Science Europe data model, which is the 6th bullet point on the left, and to accommodate and to map where does the GEO data management plan fit the best. And this has conducted some debate, test. It is not still 100% fixed, and we will need to go back to the GEO data management group to basically assess this mapping. But currently it is in quite good shape. So we have a tool that you can access, and basically you are provided with a full life cycle of creating a DMP online. So you authenticate, you can invite collaborators. You start with filling general information, you write the plan, you are a contributor, you may find something and information about budget, you share and you download. So when it is time to write the DMP, you are provided with the 6 main topics of the Europe data model, and you see in blue some of the corresponding mapping for the GEO DMPs, so 3 and 10 for the first block. And here you have the guidance that basically recall you the guidance of the GEO data management. So you are not lost, even though you are following a reference model which is not 100% aligned with GEO, but is some advantages regarding the API and the machine action. So here you can basically share the data with other collaborators, decide what they can do, whether only edit, whether read only, whether they're going to be co-owner of the DMP, and then you can decide how the plan can be basically downloaded with all the full information or some filtering some information. So you have a very powerful tool basically to run throughout the life cycle of creating a DMP. So the key point to have in mind is we all know that data is key, and assessing the compliance to sharing principle is absolutely crucial. The data management principles are applicable to any domain, so the grass can be green everywhere in all the GEO family. We can accommodate various types of profiles, so whether you're a researcher, you're in education, you're a business-oriented activity, DMP is useful. The benefit is that you work in team. You cannot fill a DMP alone. You will be asked for IT stuff, you will be asked for science stuff, you will be asked for legal and licensing and IPR. You cannot answer this. So it is a teamwork, and if you do so, you improve the data governance and the data quality of your data, and basically, potentially, because it is well designed, you foster the research and the innovation associated to your data. So new in 2024, we are currently finalizing the development of this machine actionable for the Geo community following Geo data management plan. It will be released very soon. It is reliable, scalable, interoperable, support model tool online service, and will provide an API. And when you talk API, it was the speech from the previous session this morning. So you open a whole wide range of potential applications. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Lionel. I think this is very interesting, especially for countries, national geos that are also keen to learn and also to develop their country-specific DMP. This is something that will be of immense help. Let me quickly go to Kofi Asare, who will also, who is representing the Ghana Space Agency, and he's also going to talk about National Geo in Ghana and what they also do. Thank you very much. Kofi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And I think good afternoon. I'll be presenting on Ghana Geo, as it has been indicated, and I will share with you some of the benefits that we think we will derive from the Geo Knowledge Hub, and also what we are doing in country to ensure that this useful resource is really harnessed for national growth and development. We see the Geo Knowledge Hub as a means of enhancing Ghana Geo. Ghana Geo is made up of all relevant stakeholders in the geo value chain in Ghana, involving both in the private and the public sector. And we see the Geo Knowledge Hub as a means of sharing knowledge in terms of assessing the information on the repository, the materials, the methodologies there, and adapting them to our context and also to our situation by way of building our capacities, by way of training the next generation of scientists, engaging with the universities and training institutions, pointing students, geoprofessionals to this resource and using the information on this hub. Also fostering collaboration within us, within the Ghana Geo community. We are made of different stakeholders with different mandates, with different responsibilities. And when we talk to each other and we use this hub, that will help us work together at the national in-country level. And at the same time, we could then expand to cross our borders and also collaborate at the regional level, that is referring to the various countries within the Afri-Geo community. And then we can also scale up to the global geo community as well. So we see the benefits as being able to improve data access and improving decision-making, data-driven decisions, because we're able to harness relevant Earth observation data that will help inform decisions. Again, it will help us to address the challenges posed by the impacts of climate change in the areas of food security, disaster risk management, monitoring our environmental resources. There are certain activities in country that are leaving negative footprints on our environment, and we need to monitor them. We need to assess the impact. We need to inform decision makers to make relevant decisions. Even when decisions are made by policymakers, we need to really assess those policy actions and see whether they are making relevant impact. And we see that assessing the information on the Geo Knowledge Hub will be a means to help us do that. And then we will encourage local research and innovation because we are adapting the success stories elsewhere to the Ghanaian context and situation. We will then also be coming out with the homegrown innovations that will help address our issues and challenges. And beyond that, be able to contribute to the hub as well. We don't see ourselves only being as users, but also will contribute to the content, contribute in terms of data, and help drive the hub to meet its intended purpose. So currently we have some challenges, but we're working to solve them, issues with data literacy and capacity gaps. Like I said in the morning, technology is always evolving, and therefore we need to also build ourselves. And in doing that, we need to conduct national training workshops to build the capacity of members to be able to use Earth observation data. And here I'm referring to the professionals so that they can use it in their line of work, collaborating locally and also on the international scene. Again, we also need to build our infrastructure to be able to assess it even at the community level. So our ICT infrastructure is key to harness the benefits that the Geo Knowledge Hub brings on board. And then again, we need to create awareness so that people will be aware of this facility. These people will be aware of this hub. Students can use this for their work. Researchers can use it, as well as professionals within the Ghana Geo community. So with all these, the question is, what are we doing to have a very strong institution in Ghana? We noticed that we needed a framework, we needed a guidance, we needed a coordination mechanism. So we needed to develop our Geo document that will highlight the purpose, the objectives, the key activities, our milestones, who can be part of the Ghana Geo, how will it be coordinated, and the various working groups. The community, we've come together to develop this document to guide us going forward. And beyond that, the document itself will not do the work. We need to continue to engage ourselves as a community in country. And therefore we set off, and we were privileged to be visited by the capacity building coordinator of GEO. We visited our sector minister. Beyond that, we have also been engaging other members of the GEO community, because we noticed that even within ourselves, we are to some extent not open, we are not sharing data. Where my work begins and ends, that's where somebody's work also begins. That person will need my data to be able to begin his or her work. And therefore, within ourselves, we must be open, we must share resources, we must share data. And once we're able to drive that, then we can also harness what the Geo Knowledge Hub is also providing to us. Beyond that, we also needed to build capacity by coming together. We engage ourselves online. We invited experts to share applications, to share resources, and what is being done in the various fields. In that direction, there are a lot of knowledge packages on the Geo Knowledge Hub, which may point you to different platforms like the GeoGlam, to the Digital Earth Africa. So we also arranged with the Digital Earth Africa to have a training that brought about researchers, students, lecturers, government agencies, and other professionals. This was intended for the Ghana Geo, but we noticed that it went wide, and other African countries also joined us for this capacity building. And we hope to engage GeoGlam to do similar. We are also talking to ESRI to do that. We will talk to Paula and her team to also have a dedicated session on the Geo Knowledge Hub itself. So in doing that, we have one of our working group, that's disaster risk reduction. And we noticed that we need to establish a strong and effective national early warning system that is data-driven, that is based on data, that is, the information is scientific. And that is also thrive on the wings of strong ICT. And within that community, we also have the ICT working group, so that when we're able to generate the information, they can thrive and get to the users to cross the last mile barrier and be able to use it for informed decision-making, reduce disaster if we can't prevent or eliminate it. So next month, we'll be launching the disaster early warnings for all in Ghana, led by the Ghana Meteorological Agency. In terms of data access, we are engaging other partners to get data, to be able to use it to address some of the issues we are facing in country. By concluding, I see the Geo Knowledge Hub as a game changer. If you're able to continue to sustain and develop it, it will really help us collaborate locally and internationally and adapt to situations in country. Again, we want to engage and build capacity in Ghana, build infrastructure, to integrate that into our policy based on the outcome that we get, and make sure we're able to harness it and mainstream it through the national Geo strategy. So we want to encourage our stakeholders to explore these resources available, and we will work together in addressing Ghana's environmental and societal challenges through data and also through innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kofi. You may take a seat. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, we have heard from our speakers, including me. Yes, so we'd like to open the floor for any questions or any comments on the presentations that have been made so far.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting for me to listen to your experiences of establishing national GEOs. I have to say that in Norway, we have tried, but it's very difficult because particularly in Europe, I think this might be the case, since we are members of the Copernicus program, they are confusing it, GEO and Copernicus. And I was wondering if any of you could share some experiences, if it's not Copernicus, maybe another program that you have faced this potential misunderstanding of what's what.
All right, I think I can take that one. We've been having discussions leading up to EuroGeo, and one of the things that came out is the ownership of what is happening within Europe, especially EuroGeo and Copernicus and activities that are happening under the sponsorship of the EU, the Commission. Now, we all know that EuroGeo is quite established because of also the financial contribution that is coming from the EU. But one thing that is clear is that there are a lot of already established systems in Europe compared to, for instance, Africa. That makes it a bit tricky and difficult when you have to bring all the various stakeholders together. It's easy, a little bit easy in a lot of the developing countries because there's that zeal and enthusiasm and everything is new. And so there is that opportunity to explore and to come together, and the voices are strong because there's that desire to come together, because if you do it individually, it's very difficult to succeed. But if you come together, as they have noticed so far, it makes it easy. I believe that is so. Do you agree with us? Yeah, you want to comment on that too, for your experience?
Thank you so much for that question. So, and I understand where that question is coming from, and I can tell you it can be so challenging. I mean, the role of coordination, especially amongst institutions that have their own mandates, can be a little bit tricky. However, I can say in the case of South Africa and SAGO, I can talk about, I mean, for the community, they've been very welcoming of, I mean, open to this kind of coordination because it's also aligned with our policy, national space policy, which requires that there must be some coordination to ensure that the government's departments work together, the organizations work together. So this central coordination is actually for us a benefit because now having a secretariat, it gives that that comfort and a point of contact for everybody to, to have that central hub that they can go to. So it's challenging, but also we've seen some opportunities that have come with the process.
And just to add to what South Africa said, yeah, I was there last June, and we had a very good session. That was quite revealing to the various stakeholders in the room. And a lot of them got to know what others are doing. And that was something that was quite revealing to the whole community who didn't know what each other was doing. They knew themselves. They knew some of the capabilities of representation, individuals, companies that they represent, but they didn't know until we went through this whole process of self-evaluation, and people began to realize that they have more than they ever knew. So if we have this mentality of wanting to know more, it makes it easier. it makes it easy to get to meet. And I think GEO as a convening, EuroGeo as a convening has the opportunity to do that, especially in terms of institutions and countries coming to present what they have within the same platform. Yes, and this one?
Maybe just to add, one of the, we had a time in South Africa where we almost had that conflict when we started setting up our participation in GEO at the time of the committees. We were also the chair of CEOs. And CEOs also has the working groups, and we found that there's some are almost the same, but we went through the process of actually deciding what will actually be the coordination mechanism. And I think it might also have helped the fact that CEOs and GEO have a good relationship as well. But it was a discussion that had to be had and reconciliation that needed to be had. But likely for us, we got into that right at the beginning of setting up our participation, yeah. And I think also the leadership helped because science and technology led on both CEOs, even though CEOs are space agents, but the ministry, you know, was the same. So they helped to make a decision in terms of how the coordination at the national level would be.
Thank you very much. And this one, I think I'll go to Lionel.
Yeah, and just may I add something. I'm not representing any national geo, but as we're currently interested with the EC-funded project called EuroGeoSec, which aim at basically paving the way for an operational EuroGeo in a year and a half from now, I can definitely say that what currently we are organizing in this project is basically at EuroGeo level, at Europe level, is to basically identify and invite all the key players, whether they are national GEO, interested entity, action group for EuroGeo. And I guess if there's a single place where all those people can come together, this is GEO.
Very much. Do we have any other question or submission from the audience?
I wanted to comment what drives us together.
All right.
I think there is a fundamental challenge the community in Ghana we all face. So that's what is driving us together, because we believe together we can overcome that challenge, because we've been fighting to overcome it individually and it's not working. But we notice the power of being together that will help us overcome that. Thank you.
Thank you. Paula, I think our time is up. Is that okay? Okay, thank you very much. I think we've had quite a revealing presentations and also a brief discussion. Apologies, we took all the time, and hopefully we will have time to chit chat over today and tomorrow. Thank you very much once again to our speakers. Thank you very much. Yeah, so please, also for this session, we would like you to also look at the survey and fill it up for us.